faculty development. We are going to learn about interpretative structural modeling, data and analysis. I hereby extend a warm welcome to everyone here. Today on this occasion, we have a special resource person, Dr. Ashish Dwivedi. Sir is a PhD from IIT Delhi, professor, and area he deals with operational and decision sciences in Jindal Global Business School, Haryana. He was kind enough to accept our invitation, and today he has been here to share his knowledge. And I'll just read out a brief profile and run through the profile of Sir. Professor Ashish Dwivedi works as a professor in the area of operational management and decision sciences at Jindal Global Business School and in Haryana. He holds a doctorate from Department of Management Studies, IIT Delhi, India, and Sir holds a MTech degree in mechanical engineering with specialization in computer-aided design and manufacturing from Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad, Prayagraj, India. And Sir is basically an engineering graduate in mechanical engineering. He's in his doctoral research, Sir has developed information and decision synergy models yeah, for performing improvements in product recovery systems. Such research has been published in various journals of international reputed, including Journal of Cleaner Production, Business Strategy and Environment, Annals of Operational Research, International Journal of Production Research, Technology Forecasting and Social Changes, and so forth. Sir has also presented his research work in various international conferences held in US and Dubai. Sir research interest includes operation management, supply chain management, product recovery systems, circular supply chain, industry 4.0, and empirical analysis. And Sir is expertised in teaching various themes, which includes operational management, project management, and many, in fact. Sir has received so many awards, and few of them are Research Scholar Travel Award from IIT Delhi, Research Excellence Travel Grant from Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Research Excellence Travel Award amounting to rupees 1,000, Promotional Fund of Research Excellence Award for Outstanding Contribution in Research and Publications on the occasion of 12th anniversary and celebration of the University Day.
Good evening,
City, Sunibet, India. Sir, today we are really honored to have Dr. Ashish Dwivedi, sir, to be here to share his knowledge and experience with our faculty and participants. We are confident that this interaction with our resource person will be a valuable learning opportunity to all the audience, all the participants. And with this, I now invite Ashish Dwivedi sir to come forward and address our enthusiastic audience. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to know, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
So, starting in a first note, I would like to thank Dr. Regina for giving the introduction in a very elaborative way. Maybe that could just set the here among the audience. And second thing is that I'm very much thankful to Professor Tiwari for giving.
Ashish sir, I am going to do one thing. I will mute everyone. So if there will be any response, that will be through the chat box only.
Chat box.
Yeah. Okay. So, Professor, Dr. Regina, you can because maybe I will be in a flow of a PPT or
Okay.
maybe just letting them know. So, in case if I miss any text, you can ping me anytime because you will be unmute, I suppose.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right, sir. We'll update. We'll let you know, sir.
Yeah. So, on that note, so I'm thankful to Professor Tiwari. We had a discussion on that. What's going to be the session? What about? I have around 1 hour for this particular tool. And I expect the audience that we have here would be a mix of the students as well as the faculty members from various institutes, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So before I start, maybe I go to the presentation and let you know an elaborative way what the agenda going to be. Probably I will be discussing a bit of it, that what the purpose is here being mine, and how can you means after 1 hour when I'm not with you in a physical or let's say in a virtual mode, how can the things being taken up here being converted into a sort of problem which you can use as where you can use this particular tool to come up with some results, and then you can formulate a paper out of it, right? That's what the brief agenda for what we all are, I think, sitting here and discussing the various topics and all. So this interpretive structural modeling tool was given by Warfield in somehow very in the earliest, which is then now modified into a couple of new tools like total interpretive structural modeling, and now we have the modified version of it or not. But the basics all started from what we are going to have a discussion on that's today. So let's say for an example that the of being here, the challenges that a researcher has is broadly two, three most in a, let's say, elaborative way if you see. So first challenge is coming up with what problem you want to cater to, right? So if I say what problem you want to cater to, there will be a number of students here who will be from the marketing domain, some will be from the finance, some maybe from the economics and all those angles, I suppose that, right? Being an operations person working in the supply chain and domain, if let's say you want to frame any problem, right, in your recent area what you're developing, you are preparing a literature review, you are coming up with some research gaps, and then finally you are formulating a problem, right? So if there is any person here in a minute, once again you have to unmute it, so just who can tell, let's say I'm working in this particular area, and then I can actually relate a live problem here and then go for the demonstration. This will be actually liked by the audience. So is there anyone who can just quickly turn on here? I'm not talking about a particular area, who can just quickly pick up here and say, sir, I am willing to work in this area, or I'm working in this area. Just simply a one liner that would help me to come. Yeah. Anyone would like to participate? Yeah. Anyone who would like to tell that they are working in this particular area or this particular, that's something.
Participants, you can use this as an opportunity to put across.
Anyone means this is a very generic question. I'm to relate with you guys, right? Because
Sir,
yeah, yes,
sir,
yes, yes, Shahin, yes,
sir, can you hear me?
yeah, you are
It's
very
Sir,
loud
audible.
and clear. Yes, you.
yes, sir. Sir, I work in the area of student mental health and well-being in educational institutions, sir. I come from a social
Right.
work background.
Great, great. It was good to learn about what you said. Now I could see in the chat box also people are writing different areas, right? I last my how to write this last my delivery problem with cost estimation and all. Okay, so I will let maybe if I could respond to them. Yeah. So you are working in challenges related to what you said. Yeah, sorry, related to your education. What you said, I skipped it.
Student mental health and well-being in educational institutions,
So
universities,
for
schools, and colleges, sir.
very good, very good. So, student mental health problems you are catering to, right? So, for example, if you want to know what the challenges the students are facing, right, or what could be the problems that they have in their mind, so maybe you are trying to figure out the challenges related to mental health with respect to students working in the education. Am I right, Shaheen? Can you make it one of a problem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely right, sir.
Yes, so now so this is, guys, see, this is very helpful because just I'm just creating a problem in front of you all, and then we'll be trying to solve it using a particular tool. Okay, so the problem here is that we are trying to identify the challenges related to a mental health problem. Okay, with respect to students and all. So Shaheen, if it could be sent in a way that, let's say, you explored a number of papers while you were doing literature review, you must have figured it out. Maybe you come across a line of or a list of challenges that you would have identified, let's say 10, 12, 15, or 20, a number of challenges that you have went through. Okay, so once you have identified those challenges, since you are working in domain, you will be reaching out to the experts. Maybe those experts can be in the form of a doctor, those experts can be in the form of people who have already been through these situations. They would be the better person to let you know that what the problems are. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So you reach out to them, and then you are trying to collect data from them to identify that what are those challenges, right? And then you are coming up with, once you are identified the challenges, you are trying to figure it out. That's, let's say, these are the list of challenges which the experts are also willing, and then you are trying to identify that what are the most vital challenges which need to be catered first, what are the less more important challenges, what is the relationship between a particular challenge with respect to a different particular challenge. These answers you want to get. Are you getting it? Means what I'm trying to say. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so using the interpretive structural modeling, that the agenda what is for today, I will be telling you that how you collect data for a specific problem, and later on you convert that data of now after a number of iterations into a sort of framework which could help you to identify the relationships, right? So now let me take you to the slides. This first stage was to set up an agenda, that why we are studying interpretive, and just to generate interest among the audience here, those who are listening to me, that this is not a tool which is only for a specific domain, maybe let's say for marketing persons or for finance and all. It is a tool which you can apply in your specific domain problem as well. So you should pay attention that how we are going to do it, right? And we have already discussed the same thing with the one of the student here, which was she was having a problem of identifying the challenges related to mental ability in respect to education sectors, right? So let me share my screen to let you know all, since we have means not very much time for the elaborative point, but still I would like to emphasize on each and every step to make you guys understand of the various concepts, right? So let me just yeah, I'm sharing the screen, just give me a moment. Allow to share my window. Yeah. Yeah, can you see the slides, guys, everyone?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Just,
Yes,
just,
sir.
just a second. Let me try it another way. I think the screen is sharing, right? Just a second. I got to share the. Now, it will be able to see that window. Yes, guys. Everyone, is it? Are you able to see the window
No, sir, still not.
now?
No, no, no. No, sir.
Just a second. Let me share the screen then only. That will be better.
Hmm.
Allow to share the screen. Share this screen. Yeah, is it shared now?
Sir, first you open
No, sir.
the slide, sir.
The slide is already opened.
But it's going in your background. First, it's your face is coming. Then,
Okay, just a second. New share. Should I do this? Allow to share the screen.
say, sir, share the tab. Share the tab.
Just a second.
There will be one option to share the window, sir. Then share the tab.
Okay. No. There are. I could see only two options: allow to share window, allow to share screen.
No, sir, if you are opening this see, there are so many tabs are there. So once you will open the your slide, then click on that, then it will be shared. First
So
you
I have. Okay. I have opened my slide.
then
Yes.
click on the share. Let me stop, sir. Then you will be able. Okay. Now you share.
You were sharing the screen earlier. Okay. Now let me just. So allow to share screen. The is the option screen amp now.
Share the window. Share the tab.
Share screen. Allow to share screen. Allow to share window.
Window, sir. Window. Not window.
Is it?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
No, sir. Visible, but your PPT is not coming, sir. Your screen is coming. Your screen is coming to us.
Just a second. Let me open it in another tab.
Ah.
Maybe. Just a second.
Open the tab, sir. PPT tab.
Just a second. This is actually creating a problem. I'm new sharing. I'm sharing the window. Large window. PPT. Just a second. Let me try it in my second laptop. I'm sorry for this, guys. Just give me 2 more minutes, right? Why this has happened, I do not know. I'm sharing the screen, but only the problem is that I'm unable to do it. Just a minute. I'm doing it with the other laptop. Maybe this time it will connect. Join from your browser. Yes. So if you can see that, maybe I'm joining the meeting. If you can allow me, it's shown here. Join. Yes.
It will be automatic, sir.
I'm joining. No, it's showing that it's joining.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah. So if you could see, I have joined in from the another one.
Either you share, sir. You send the PPT. On
No. I'm done. Just a second. It's done already. So don't worry. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. So I've logged in from a different laptop now. Maybe that was okay a problem there. Yeah. So just let me know once you see it now. In this, now here I go. Is it fine?
Yeah, sir. Now it is fine.
I'm extremely sorry for what has happened in this just now.
Yes.
But still, I'm done. At least we have the PPT. So I'm
Yes.
just logging out from this particular one. Okay.
Okay.
Then I will be going on to that.
Exactly, sir.
Okay. So can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir. You are
Okay.
perfectly audible.
Perfect. So broadly, what if you could see in the first slide that that's been visible to you is that is interpretive structural modeling data and analysis is written here. Am I right? Yes, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just scrolling to my site to just show you one of my papers here. That's, if you could see written here, sustainable manufacturing evaluation model focusing leather industries in India. Is visible to everyone, right? So
Yes.
if you see here, we have used a TISM approach, which is just an extended version of ISM, that is interpretive structural modeling that we are going through. And guys, if you could see, the purpose of placing this paper here is to just giving you a real life example of what we are going to do here and how I have converted this particular tool into a particular paper, and we actually managed to publish in one of the journals. And if you could see, this is one of my very first papers of PhD time, and from 2018 6th of June we finally moved to 19 January 2019 to get an acceptance out of this, right? Now let me show you what an introduction to this tool is before we actually move on to the analysis part, and maybe trying to help one of the student here with their own problem. So if you can see, ISM, that is interpretive structural modeling, is a powerful tool which was given as a qualitative by Warfield in 1973. So anyone of you can tell what do you mean by the term qualitative, guys? So if you're good in data and all those things, you must be aware of what qualitative is. Anyone can tell what do you mean by the term qualitative? Any idea? Okay, so qualitative basically where you are trying to gather the opinion of the audience or experts, where we are going in terms of the attributes, right? So attributes can be in the terms of let's say large, small, very small, or it can be in the terms of good, bad, and later on you are converting those qualitative attributes into quantitative one. Means quantitative means converting those attributes into number. That one, yeah. So I got one answer, not measured in terms of value. That's very right. So in this particular methodology that we are using, we initially gather the qualitative data from the experts, and later on we work on that qualitative data to convert it into numbers and come to a particular conclusion. That's what we'll be doing here. So if you could see, ISM is used for presenting complex relationships among factors into a systematic model and hierarchy by employing words and graphics, and it is a modeling techniques for developing relationships among factors. So the similar thing what I was illustrating you when I was taking the student example, where she was trying to help with the mental stability health situation in education sector. So let's say she has figured out a number of challenges right? Where she wants to find that which challenge has more weightage, which has less weightage, what is the relationship of a challenge with respect to the other, and then making a framework out of it to come up with the various conclusions. That is what we are referring to here with respect to challenges. Here we are broadly talking about, other than challenges, we are talking about the various factors that we have taken. Okay. Now, why this method is means more, let's say, we are, it's a more on discussion and how it is helpful in the management scenario. So if you could see that it is a process in which direct and different variables affecting the system are structured into a hierarchical model. Most important feature is that there is no prior knowledge is needed to operate it. Okay, and it can be operated in various dimensions. So various dimension in management decisions also, whether you say it's an HR problem or a marketing problem, any problem you say, you can apply this particular tool based on depending what problem you have catered to. Okay, and there is no prior knowledge is required. So when I say no prior knowledge, for example, that let's say you are using any different tool, so any different tool, maybe it sometimes requires that you should know this before you actually come to this analysis. So if you are performing ISM analysis, that what we are going discussion for today, you do not need a requirement for any prior means tool or all. You simply need to collect the data and start working on it. Now let me show you another thing. What are the advantages? The advantages is that it can handle, let's say, variety of participants in a group, number of complex issues. Let's say if you have 10 challenges in our problem, like one student was discussing, or you have 20 challenges, you can work on to prepare a model out of it. Okay, and if even if it is a very complex situation, then you can come up with a different solution to get it solved. This can be done with the help of ISM. Okay. Now, the very important, let's say, aspect of management studies also somehow gathering the data, right? So sometimes you need, there are different methods which require a fixed number of experts, that you should have at least this much experts for gathering the data or this. But here you again have an advantage, because this study can be operational as minimum as 2 participants, if you can see in one of the studies in 2005, to making it up to 20 experts also, right? It depends on how feasible your problem is. So again, I would come back to that student who was talking about, see, I'm again talking to the audience just to relate your problem before I move on to the this calculation part and all those things, right? So if I could talk to that student who was there, am I audible to her? Yeah, who was sharing the problem?
Yes, yes, sir, you are audible.
No, no, no. I'm asking about that student who was sharing her problem. No, I'm trying to solve her problem also with this particular methodology. There was a student.
Because, sir, in between, because of disturbance, I have muted all.
Oh, okay, okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
So let me just first of all continue from my end, and then maybe
Then,
we can take questions, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, so what the purpose here is that, let's say if you are coming up with a list of challenges, for example, that a student was doing, and suppose you want to reach out to a number of experts related to your problem, and suppose your problem is very novel, means less number of experts are available in a developing country, or maybe you are unable to reach to a number of experts whom you want to, then you can limit yourself to a limited number of experts as well. Maybe suppose you are initially planning to have an opinion of experts, let's say 12 or 14 in number, but now at the end you are able to turn up with, let's say, 7 or 6 experts also. Then still you can work with this methodology. That is another a major advantage that you have with respect to some other methodology, or maybe some other tool that you are using. Okay, so this is again an advantage which is highlighted here. So if you see what are the objectives here, what we are actually doing. So first of all, we are finding out the major factors or variables of interest. So in this problem, what again and again I'm quoting, that instead of factors, we are trying to find out the challenges of mental health stability in the education sector. Then we are trying to rank these factors according to their driving and dependence power. So I will let you know how we calculate the driving and dependence power, which helps us calculate the rank. So what is rank? Let's say if you have identified 20 challenges, right? You want to see after the expert's opinion that which challenge is to be placed at what number, means how much important a particular challenge is, or how much strength a particular challenge has with respect to the other challenges. You can easily do this using this particular tool. Then you obtain mutual relationships contextual relationship among the factors. So those factors are again challenges. So what is mutual relationships? If I can tell you in a simple way that cause and effect, what you say. So for example, challenge one is directly related to challenge two, or if for example it is indirectly related, or what sort of relationship exists between the two challenges, you can actually identify from the particular tool. Then based on those recommendations, or based on those framework that you have developed, in where you have the ranking, where you have the second thing of identifying the relationship, you can suggest various implications to the study, and then you can develop a hierarchical model. So broadly, if you see, nowadays whatever research you are doing, tool has one of the component. Maybe you can come up after converting the qualitative analysis, then gathering the qualitative data, converting it into quantitative values, coming out with a framework. But a study is incomplete unless and until you write the findings, aligning it with the literature, what you have visited through, what are the implications you have from the study, maybe to the managers, maybe to the policy makers, or maybe the theoretical implications that you have. Unless and until you write that in an efficient way, your paper is somehow incomplete, right? So two very important aspects before I move to the calculation part, that how we actually get that particular framework, I would like to let you know, as a the researchers who are working on this tool or maybe are willing to apply it, the very first component is where the first line, that to find out major factors or variables. So now if you are finding out the challenges related to mental health stability, which is one of the problem we have just live created here, you should be very particular and devoting most of your time in identifying what should these challenges be. Maybe you go to the literature to revisit again, maybe you go to the experts who are in that area to figure it out, that can we make any modification in the challenge, or you feel it is appropriate to be included in the study. So you should give a good amount of time at this particular part before you actually reach out to the experts later on to gather the data. Are you getting it? So this is very important to understand, guys. Please note. And second thing, once you have compiled the final framework, the next thing is how well you are able to write the implications, how well you are able to write the discussions. That again makes your paper very strong. So that is what I was trying to emphasize here in this particular slide. Now, if you could see, there are a number of steps that we are now going to discuss it one by one by taking one of the examples of my own paper, which I have just highlighted it to you. Okay, so I will again come back to these steps later on, just to make sure that we have followed the same steps. But I am trying to show you live in this particular class that how I have come up with the data and later on worked on the problem. Okay, so if you could see, the first step is identification of factors. So that is the challenges in our particular case. Extensive literature review. So first of all, we used to do an extensive literature review by identifying or putting the keywords which are related to our problem, maybe using the inclusion and exclusion criteria to finally come up with number of papers which are in the domain, and working on those papers to finally make a list of factors. Those factors are, in our case, the challenges related to mental health stability, let's say, in any case. Then second is a consensus of experts opinion. So that what I was telling, once you have find out the challenges, the maximum time you have to give here is to finalize or make sure by reaching out to the experts that those identified challenges are actually related to your problem, those identified challenges are actually correct, and then you are making sure that your problem is going on the right particular path. And if you see, selection of experts is again important. So for example, you are working in a problem which is related to, let's say, mental health, and you are not able to reach out to the exact number, then it is again means it is somewhere difficult, because if you're not choosing the correct person to fill your Google form survey, or maybe fill physically a particular survey, then it is actually problematic, right? So this is very important to understand. Now, let me show you this one of my papers, and if you could see here, I think maybe it is not very much visible. You have to enlarge a bit on it. I have identified the key performance indicators in this particular paper. That is the key performance indicators for sustainable manufacturing in context of leather industry. So if you could see, 15 of them are finally mentioned here, but these 15 also came out after a long literature review, where initially I find out around 30 and 40 of them, and later on I formed the mean average value to finally come up to these 15 KPIs. And if you could see this table, the references I have also provided from where, or I have taken an help to identify this key performance integration, and a brief description is also mentioned here just to relate that particular key performance indicator to my leather industry problem, right? So this is the very first step. So if you see in the case, the student which was having a discussion initially with me, I would like to say here that that step will be supposed like identification of challenges related to mental health stability, and then here she can put the challenges and all what she has identified, right? So this is the very first step that we used to do. Okay, and that has been done in this particular case, right? Now if you could see second step, that is known as SSIM matrix, guys, that is being mentioned, which is structural self interaction matrix. Okay, so what is a structural self interaction matrix? Now guys, what you will do, once you have identified your challenges, or whatever you are identifying, maybe somebody is identifying the driver, somebody is identifying what could be the barriers to a particular problem, you have to reach out the experts with four words, that is four symbols mentioned there. If you could see the second paragraph, symbol V is used when element A will help in attaining element B. Sorry, symbol V is used when element A will help in attaining element B. Symbol A is used when element A will be attained by element B. X is used when both will help to each attain each other. And O is used when they are not related to each other. So this is the first step. You will reach out to the experts to compute this data. So let me show you how I reached out to the expert. If you could see this matrix, guys, right? So I am unable to get your responses anyhow. If you feel any problem, just message me so that I can see that pop-up message and maybe I can respond it to you. Okay. So if you could see on the column, I have written all those 15 indicators which I have identified, right? And on the row also, if you could see again, those 15, 14, 13 are nothing but those indicators only. But since we are limited space, we are not writing the complete name. And if you could see at the end, the line which is at the diagonal and which is at the right, one, all one is written there. The reason behind it is that a particular indicator cannot have a relationship with himself only, right? So for example, if you see 1, so government support and trade policy cannot have a relation with government support and trade policy. So it should be given 1. Similarly, 2 is given 1, 3 is given 1, and every line at the last, if you could see, is 1. Hope you are getting it what I'm trying to say, right? Other than that, if you see the entire matrix, we have different notations in terms of X, in terms of O, in terms of V, and in terms of A. So you are reaching with this blank form. Maybe you are reaching physically, then you take this blank form and get it filled from the expert. And if you are not reaching physically, you prepare a Google form out of it, or maybe any survey what you are, what your university is authorized with, or what you are able to take. You reach out with that particular survey to ask the expert. For example, the first one, if I say to you that how government support and trade policies is related to 14 number, means is related to adoption of environmental regulations. So you ask the experts, can you please tell that how government support and trade policies and is related to adoption of environmental regulations? Both of these are related to each other. Both of these two terms are not related to each other. Or you say government support is related to adoption, but adoption is not related to government. So he says, no, both of them are related to each other. So you give an X for that particular thing, like you are able to say in 1 or 14. Similarly, if the expert says that government support and trade policy is related to adoption, but it is not the vice versa case, you will give a different notation based on what I have shown you in this particular, let's say, symbol V is used when A helps in attaining B, and similarly and all. Okay. So anyone guys who can confirm me that is there any question in this second step which is related to formulation of SSIM matrix, which is a very important step, guys. Anyone? So that I'm okay. No, no, sir. Okay, thank you. Great. So once you are done with the first step, that is SSIM matrix, that what I have prepared here. Next step is to convert these attributes, that is VAXO, into a form of quantitative, into form of numbers, what I was saying, right? So what numbers can be, then again we have a very important step, that is, if you could see, is written as initial reachability matrix. So after this self SSIM matrix, we are now moving on to the second step of converting the VAXO in terms of numbers using the initial reachability matrix. So now if you could see, the code or the information for that is mentioned below. If entry AB in the SSIM is V, then AB entry in reachability becomes 1 and BA becomes 0. Similarly, if AB entry is A, then it becomes 0 and 1 and so on. So I will tell you a live example instead of going on to this particular language. If you see this particular slide, guys, now please stop here. So if you see, let me take any of the case. For example, if I say government support and trade policy, that is 1 and 10. If you see, for 1 and 10, I have written 1 here. So for 1 and 10, it's written 1. So if I take you to the previous slide, if you see, for 1 and 10, what is here? V. Anyone can see? For 1 and 10, we have used the notation V. So what the rule says, that if it is a V for A and B, what you do, for 1 and 10, you will write 1, and for 10 and 1, you will write 0. So if I take you to the matrix again, let me help you. If you see now, for 1 and 10, it is written 1, but for 10 and 1, it is written 0. Why? Because there was V at 1 and 10. Now let me show you another example for it, to make you more understand it. Now let's come to the matrix again. So if you take a case of 1 and 14, so 1 and 14 is X. X means what? The X notation means, again, if you see the rule says, if it is X, then AB entry in the matrix becomes 1 and the BA entry also becomes 1. So if I take you to the matrix again, for 1 to 14, please check. 1 to 14. 1 to 14 is 1, and if you come to 14 to 1, it is again 1. Are you getting it? So accordingly, using the rule of converting that is, the rule is here, that if you have V, AB entry becomes 1, BA becomes 0. Similarly, opposite is A. AB becomes 0 and BA becomes 1. For X, you have both side 1, and for O, you have both entries 0. So if I take a case of last one to more give you an information, for example, you take the case of 1 and 11. So 1 and 11 is 0, right? So when you go on to the initial reachability matrix, what happens here? If you see, 1 and 11, if you check, is 0, and 11 and 1 is also 0, right? So this is the second step. What was after the SSIM, we have done the initial reachability matrix. Anyone, guys, who has any problem till now? Because these are the steps, and I want to make sure that you have learned it. Means just a message from your end. No, sir. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let me come to the next step. That is the third step. One more example, please. Okay, just let me. So if you see any case, if I take it again, so see, if you see here, if I take the case of 1 and 12, which is V. So what it will happen, if you go to the matrix, 112 should be 112 is written as 1 because it's V. So AB entry is 1 and 12 1 will be 0. So if you come to 12 1, it is 0. Hope it is clear now. The one who was asking, give an example more. Okay. So now we are coming to the next step. After the initial, we are now coming to the final reachability matrix. And those who are here, this is an important step, because now what we are going to use, we are going to use a transitivity rule, right? Transitivity rule says what? That if a factor A is related to B and factor B is related to C, then A and C will be related to each other. So this is what the transitivity rule, and this rule we are going to check in this particular matrix, that is the initial reachability matrix, to convert it into a final reachability matrix. Now how we are going to do it? Please see, this is the matrix that we have. Forget about the driving independence, guys. The last column and last row, just do not look into that. Other than that, if you see here, there are various notations where star is written, like one star, one star, and all those things. These are the notations which are obtained after applying the transitivity rule. So how we have applied the transitivity rule, if you could see here. Now let me come to this particular slide to explain it to you, right? How you are going to do it. Now please be very careful in understanding. This is the most important step. Once you have understood this, you are almost done. Okay. So if you could come into the first row, you see 1 1 is given an entry 1. Similarly, 1 2 is given an entry 1. As you come to 1 3, you are given an entry 0. Now you will stop. Whenever a 0 comes, you will stop at that point. And now if you see for 3, you have 0. So now you go to the third row. So when you go to the third row, what you will see here, once you reach to the third row, you will notice, just let me use a pen here that may be helpful to you, maybe if it allows me to use, yeah, just a second. Yes. Okay. So if you see on the third row, we are here. Everyone, can you see the pen working? Okay, I hope so. So if you see for the first row, you first went in this particular row, you saw it's 1, so it's okay. You saw it's 1 again, it's okay. But here it's 0, so you stop at this point. Now this is the third row, right? So you come to the third row. Now you see here it's 0, it's here it's 1. Okay, it's fine. Here it's 0, here it's 1. Okay, it's fine. But here is 1 and here is 0. So you give it an entry as 1 star. So this becomes 1 star. Similarly, move ahead. This is 0, this is 1. Okay, this is 0, this is 1. Okay, this is 1, but this is 0. So this will again become 1 star. Again, after that, you move. This is 0, this is 1. This becomes again 1 star. This is 0, this is 0. It's okay. This is 0, this is 1. It's okay. This is 1, but this is 0. So it again becomes 1 star. This is 0. It's okay. This is 1. This becomes 1 star. Similarly, this is 1. This becomes 1 star. So now if you see, guys, here we have added, based on the transitivity, in place of 0 a number of stars. So if you take any one of those 6, 8, 11, 13, 15, 3, 6, 8, 11, 13, 15 are given 1 star. So if you come see here, 3, 6, 7 must have been also there. I've missed it. And these are now, so no, these are given the entries based on the first iteration, right? So similarly, this will change. Now if you come to the second row, guys, please see carefully. I'm again illustrating you because this is the most important step, right? So now you come to the second row, you come here. Okay, this is 0, you will stop. That's what I have told. Okay, so this 0 is at what place? This is at second row. Okay, so sorry, this is at first row. So now you come to first row. This is 1, this is 0. This will become 1 star. Okay, now I'm not writing star because it is difficult to operate the pen here, so I'm writing 1 here only, but it's 1 star. Okay, this is 1, this is 1, it's fine. This is 0, this is 0, it's fine. This is 1, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. This is 0 0, it's fine. This is 1, it's fine. So now if you see this one, this is 1, but here it's 0, so you will write 1 star. Hope it is clear with everyone, guys. You have to visit every row to figure it out at what point you are getting a 0. Then you go to that corresponding row to scan all of them. This is a one way of, this is I used to do it so that there are less error of calculation. You can also check it one by one also, that how one is related to 3 and 3 is related to how the other one is related, using the rule also. That scanning you can also do. Any confusion till now? Is there, guys, anyone? This is the third step. Could you repeat first row? Okay. So if you could see again, let me just tell you again, maybe we have to conclude this as well. So just maybe if I can again explain it to you. So if you go to the first row, for example, if you see I stopped at this point, right? Because there was a 0. So once we have scanned the third row, now it's done. Now if you see you have again have a 0 at the sixth row. Okay, now you come to sixth row. So if this is a sixth row, right, you again start scanning. Here's a 0, here's a 1, it's okay. But if you see 1 here, you have to write 1 star. If you see 1 here, you have to write 1 star. If you see 1 here, you have to write 1 star, and so on. Is it fine? So every time if you are scanning a particular row, you have to check 0 for it and go to that corresponding row To check if it's 1 there, you have to replace the 0 with a transitivity. Am I right? I mean, did you get it now? Yeah, so can you please comment on this so that I can move ahead? Okay, thank you. So now if you see, guys, I asked you to stop, do not look at the last row and last column. This last row and last column is the driving and dependence power of every, let's say, key that indicator what I have mentioned here. So if you add, let's say, first row, including these 1 stars also, you see the entire row will give you a sum of 15, right? So similarly, second row, if you see, this will give you a sum of 13. Similarly, third row, you have 4 zeros. So sorry, you have 6 zeros, so you get 9. So we have added the rows and we have added the column to identify the driving and dependence power of every indicator. So now you can see that how much powerful means how which indicator is on a driving position, which is dependent indicator. You can see that information in this final reachability matrix, and we will draw this information in terms of a matrix as well. That will give you some information, but that is a later part what we will be doing. Okay, now we are coming on to the next step, which is again level partitioning. Okay, so again, how this level partitioning is done, let me show you. Yeah, so if you see this, guys, now please again focus, this is again important part. You could see the top column, the first column that we have. Let me just again use the pen to make you a bit understand this I'm talking about this one. Okay, how we have made this diagram. So if you see here, again we have the 15 indicators. This is a reachability set, this is an antecedent set, and this is intersection set. Okay, now how we have calculated these values, that is important. Okay, so let me just help you with the reachability. So if you see, reachability has what? All the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 till 15. Why? Because these are the values which we have generated from the rows. So if I take you to this particular slide, this one, okay? And if you check here, in the first row, you have all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Am I right? And if you check the second row, you have 1, 1, if it is the second row, you have 2 zeros, one at 14 and one at 1. So I'm just helping you that how we have made this. If you see the first indicator, first row all were 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 we have written, but in second one, 1 was 0. So we don't write 1 here. It's from 2, and 14 was also 0. So we don't write 14. So reachability set is made based on rows. So if you can see here, again I'm using pen. In the second row, we have no 1 and 14. Why? Because 1 was 0, also 14 was 0. So they are not mentioned here. Hope it is clear with everyone. Similarly, for antecedent set, you look for the columns. So if I take you again, if you see 114 is written in the first column. So it means what? If I take you here again, you can see the first column, only 1 and 14 had 1. Other than that, all are 0. If you are able to see it, only 1 and 14 had 1, while others are 0. Am I right? Okay, so this is how you frame this particular indicator level reachability and intersect antecedent set. Okay, so this is how we used to do. This is reachability set, that is based on number of rows. If you have 1 at every point, you write it. This is based on columns, and then you make it. Okay, and I think you must be familiar with that how an intersection is obtained, which is the common among the reachability and the antecedent. So if you could see in this one, first one, 1 and 14 is in this also as well as in this. So you write 114 and similarly and so on. Okay. Now, how we obtain level 1, guys? This is again very important. Okay. So level 1 is obtained where you check if reachability set is equal to the intersection set. Okay, so if you could see only the 7 one that is here, it is 7, and here it is also 7. Other than this, there is no column here or row here which has similarity in reachability and antecedent. So for example, if you check this one, it's 7, 8, 9, but here only 8, 9 is here, so you cannot take. Are you getting it? So if the other one you take 7, 8, 9, again 8, 9 is there. If you check this one, 7, 8, 9, 13, 15, and here only 13, 15 are here. So they are not matching. Reachability is not equal to intersection set other than in this column. Is there anyone who did not get this? Why we have placed 1 here and not placed 1 anywhere else? Is there anyone who has got this, guys? Please comment. This will make make clear that I am able to understand, make you understand the concept. Yeah, anyone? Yes, great. So now we have identified that at first level, we have to put the KPI which is at the seventh number, right? But we need to identify the other levels also. This is a sort of iteration process what you are doing. And if you see when you reach to the second table, this is the second table. Now seventh will be eliminated because we are done with the seventh. Okay. So if you could see there is no seven here. Are you getting it? And we repeat the process again, the process what we did here to identify the reachability, identify the antecedent. And now if you could see here, we are two levels. Why? Because 8989 is here, 8989 is here also, 8989 is here, 8989 is here also. Other than that, there is no reachability which is equal to intersection. Hope it is making uh, clarity, everyone. Is it fine? Okay, so this is how you come up with the different levels. Okay, so based on those levels you make a diagram out of it. So I'm just showing you that how this diagram has been made. If you see, let me just again uh, give you an illustration of it. So if you see the top of the diagram, that is this particular one, you have S7, that is at the level first, right? Why? Because if you see at the level 1 we had only one of the KPI, that was 7, and at level 2 we had two KPIs, that is 8 and 9. So we have placed 8 here and we have placed 8 here and placed as 9. And if you see at the third level you have 15 and 13. So let me show you a demonstration that how am I right or wrong. So if you come to the third level, so I haven't illustrated it here, but when you see my paper, no, I have already only put two of the tables here to just make you understand. But when you see the third level, no, you will come to know that you again have two elements only at this particular point. Okay, and now you must be wondering here that why these dotted lines are here and why these dark lines are here. These lines are kept here to show the direct relationships and the transitivity relationships. Okay, so if I take you to this matrix again, let me show it to you, this one, which is very important for drawing the diagram. So if you say for relation of 1 to 2, you have 1 written here, right? So it means that there is a direct relationship. But when you see 1 and 3, there is a star. So you have to show the relationship between 1 and 3 using the dotted lines instead of using a dark line. That's how you show the relationships. Similarly, you show the other relationships in a different manner, right? So if you see this diagram, which I was again showing it to you, this is a framework which you have obtained, right? Where you can, if you see this factor, how this is related to this, you can have an answer of it. Okay, that there's a direct relation, there's a transitivity relation. Second thing, by identifying the driving and dependence power, you are commenting on that how influential a particular challenge as the student case. And first of all, the person should try to cater that challenge, and later on they should move on to different challenges. So you are getting the severity of a challenge, like in this case, severity of how important the performance indicators can be, right? So similarly, you try to map it into a framework. So this is a TISM model, guy. Why? Because if you see, we have written interpretations also, right? So we write in interpretations in a TISM, which is an extension given by Professor Sushil in 2012. It's an extension of ISM because you interpret also the relations which were not being done in the case of an ISM model, right? So you prepare an interpretive matrix where you gather the opinion of the experts to comment on the relationship between two challenge or two KPIs in this case. So this is one difference, and that these dotted lines and dark lines, I've already told you what the importance is. Okay. Now I was telling you we make a diagram. If you could see, guys, this is what I was telling. Although it must be not that much visible, but you will be able to see in the paper that how what I'm talking about. If you could see, we have made a Cartesian plane here. Let me show it to you, so that again using the pen I can help you understand. We have made a Cartesian plane here. So those who are familiar with the XY axis, on one side we have the driving power, on the other side we have the dependence power. Okay. So if you see this particular information, let me show it to you. Yes, final reachability matrix, this one. Okay. So if you see, we are plotting these values. So for example, let's say first indicator is there. Okay. So its driving value is 15 and its dependence value is 2. So for first you will plot 15 and 2. For second, you will plot 13 and 4 and so on. So what this information gives, if I show you the plot, again here, this one. So if you could see, for first you have the plot as 15 and 2, and for second you have the different plots that you have plotted here like this. If you could see 1 and 14 for 2, if this is information is like this here, and then it's here, that's all what being done here, if you could see. Okay, so this is what I was trying to illustrate. Based on this driving independence power, we have been trying to basically identify the various topics which we have been talking about, right? So this makes the thing important that you are trying to identify the linkages, and means linkage variables means if there are very strong relationships between driving independence, you say it's linkage, and accordingly you try to just follow it, right? So having high dependence and high driving are placed in the third quadrant, and so on. So you can again comment that which indicator is having independent, which is linkage, which is autonomous, and so on. Okay, so guys, this is what all had I had with respect to the calculations. Now coming on to limitations of this method, that opinions and inputs that you're taking here from the experts may have little bias, right? Bias means, again, you have to be very precise in selecting the number of experts, and here you are not empirically validating or statistically testing anything, right? So you are simply gathering the opinions, and then you are coming up with solutions. So you are not statistical verification, you are not doing. And third part is another important challenge, that you are doing this study based on the current circumstances, right? Later on, maybe there are more challenges which you can see in the coming literature, or maybe you can also identify in your day-to-day life to visualize the challenges or the factors that you have, so that are ignored or overlooked. This can be a situation, because as the literature gets updated, this may be a change that could be written on. Okay, so again, you can have an scope. Again, you can mix this particular tool to provide statistical validation by using the SEM analysis, using the path analysis, using the exploratory factor analysis, and confirmatory factor analysis, and maybe you can try it in that way, right? So this kind of study can be further extended to other sectors, fields, and organizations. So which I introduced you initially only, that whether you are working in a particular HR domain or whatever domain you are, you can try this problem, guys. Okay, so I think I managed to finish in time, but I was not expecting initially that it will be, will I be able to do it or not. So I am open to questions now, because you have been kept mute for a long time. Maybe now it's the turn from your end, that how things could go now. Anyone? Yeah, you can now have the questions, please. Yeah, am I audible to everyone, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so now I'm open to questions, because this is again.
Achha, let me sir open.
Maybe
Yeah. Participants, now you are unmuted. You can ask the question. But we are having very less time, because the next session is going to.
I know that.
Waiting.
So, but this is, see, this I could maximum do in this short time. Thank you.
Yes, 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 sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I had one question. How do we decide on the experts?
Oh, how you decide on the experts, right?
Yes.
So see, this is again an important term to be understood. That's what I was telling it to you. Let's say you are working in a problem which is still not very much in practice in a developing country where you are currently existing, right? Maybe you figure it out that this practice can be maybe more well done in a developed country. So you can reach out to them based on the Google Forms and all. Okay, or you can also maybe if it's in India, you can reach out to them as well, because see, only limitation that we have here for identifying is the number of experts that we are going to do. And the important part is that the major problem a student faces at this time is to gathering the data, right? So here you have an advantage, that let's say that I also introduced initially in my words, that if say you are planning to come up with the 10-12 experts, and at the end you are able to manage with only 6 or 5 of them, still you can apply this particular tool. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is not an important part of this methodology that you can focus upon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you mean to say that it would be dependent on the topic that I have chosen? And
Yes, how, see, why depended on the topic? For example, let's say that same case of one of the student who was
Hmm.
trying to work on the mental health stability and all.
Yeah.
So maybe the person who have already been through these situations, who are holding
Hmm.
good position in the various hospitals, dealing with the peoples who are coming up with these problems, or any
Hmm.
stakeholder who is in the education in the education sector, who is actually dealing with a different office, who has such type of student reaching out. I mean, this is what I was saying,
Hmm.
the probability. And maybe let's say they are having 10, 12 more years of experience of catering to such problems. Obviously they will be the better person to answer these things.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
so
Hmm.
that's what I am just talking about with respect to the this expert.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
So just one clarification, sir.
Yes.
You kept that problem as the base behind the entire discussion.
Hmm.
Sir, in case we use these matrices,
Hmm.
you have also put in the last slide a scope for future study. But
Right.
what improvisation we can really bring out in the findings compared to the conventional models, sir? Can you tell? That is one. Second one, if probably we need to hire some consultancy services for engaging such matrices, how
Hmm.
much do we actually put in the program proposal which we send for funding, sir?
No, this second question I do not get. If you can please again just let me know. The second one I.
Suppose sorry, suppose if we have to engage these matrices for which sometimes we the teachers also don't have adequate time for all that. So in
Hmm.
case we engage some consultants, like in
Hmm.
the project proposal which we apply for the funders, for
Hmm.
consultancy alone, for statistics, for these kind models, since you are in the field, how much can be projects, sir?
Means you want to know the amount.
Tentative amount for these matrices which the consultants would take, sir.
Okay, see, first of all, means see the first. Let me just answer your first questions. What you which you are trying to get. Let me means you're trying to ask me what are the inferences that can be drawn from it, right? This is what the first question. So this is simply what we have done here. Whatever problem that we have taken, maybe whether my problem which I discussed with you or that other problem, we have prepared a framework out of it. If you could see, that was this is what I was talking about. This is the final framework that we have developed. Let me, this is right. So if you see this particular framework, which has now become a complex one because we have 15 of the factors taken up, you can conclude saying to coming up with the implications to the managers, like, or for the, let's say in a manufacturing organization or leather industry we are talking about, right? So a person who is trying to implement sustainable practices in the leather industry, you can provide them the explanation that, see, if you are trying to implement the manufacturing sustainable manufacturing practices, you should make sure that these top 5 indicators surely should be there in your industry. Or for example, this particular indicator is related this much to this. Are you getting it? Or the third presentation is, the third one indicator is related to this, and based on that you can also suggest managerial implications. You can suggest policy implication, that if you want to have improved labor safety, that will also contribute to sustainable working environment, right? So from this figure only you can come up with a number of inferences, because the most important or the difficult part in writing anything what you're doing, whether you're writing a paper or a thesis out of it, whatever you're doing, you are always short in content, that how I can bring the maximum information what I have calculated from the experts. So that diagrams gives you the information. Second, from the analysis which was given by the micmac, if I could say show you this diagram again, here you can classify the various indicators. Again, you can say these are the linkage one which are having the most driving power, so they should be catered first. These are the one which are less, they are more than the which are the dependent one, and then you can come up with a number of inferences. Hope you get it clarified what your question
Yes,
was.
sir. Yes, sir. Very well answered. Thank you, sir.
And one important thing with respect to that, what you're saying, no, again, I will tell you, here you don't need to go for any consultancy. Why? Because you are not playing with huge data. You have to make sure that there are papers related to this methodology who have used minimum of 4 or 5 experts also, and maximum up to 10, 12, 40, 50 also. So just how much a maximum good number of experts you are able to reach, it's better you reach out to them personally, or you can flow a you can have a Google form or any other way of getting that particular information. But I think my suggestion is that there is no need to go for consultancy, specifically with respect to this methodology. Others I cannot comment about, but related to this, I do not think so much. Means that's what my opinion.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you. Next expert is already joined.
Yeah, so that's so I'm really sorry I took 5 or more of the minutes, but that
It
was
was
again
very nice
required.
and wonderful session. Dr. Razina?
Yes, sir. I was just waiting because the sir has been loaded with lot of questions. Sir, thank you, Ashish sir, for making the session really interesting and moreover, explaining something with the real-time examples and making the session, much, touching upon.
Himanshu.
Good evening, Himanshu ma'am.
Good evening.
Yes. Sir, dear participants, good evening to everyone here on the fourth.
We can say good morning to you, Professor.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning for me.
Good
Here
evening.
we are having evening, but you are having their good morning. Okay.
Yeah, it's good morning for me.
So it's good evening to all the participants and good morning to the resource person for the day. And on our fourth day
Thank
of our
you.
faculty development program, the second session, we are going to have an insight about data analysis using Tableau hands-on experience. I hereby extend a warm welcome to everyone here and a special welcome to our eminent speaker for the day, Dr. Himanshu Chaudhary, ma'am, partner
Thank you.
development consultant, Intuit in Canada. And we are very kind, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being part of our session to share your ocean of knowledge. We
Thank you
welcome
so much for
you
having
on
me.
behalf of CMR University and from School of Economics and Commerce. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'll just
Over to you.
start sharing my screen and then we'll go from there.
Ma'am, before you start your session, I just want to give a brief profile about you, ma'am, to the audience.
Sure.
Yeah. Participants, Dr. Himanshu ma'am is a distinguished partner development consultant with Intuit Canada, where she leveraged her extensive expertise to foster strategic partnership that drives innovation and business growth. In addition to ma'am's role at Intuit, Dr. Himanshu ma'am serves as an advisory board of European Global University, and where madam has provided valuable insights and guidance on academic initiatives and collaborations within the global educational landscape. Madam commitment to advanced educational excellence in further exemplified by her position as a member of the review board for the Journal of Service Research. And through her multifaceted roles, Madam has exemplified the leadership innovations and deep commitment to advancing both industry and academia. With this brief introduction, on behalf of SOEC, I would like to welcome ma'am to and thank her to accepting invitation and taking the session. Over to you, ma'am.
I really appreciate the kind words and, thank you so much for mentioning about the things which I've done in past. So I'll just start sharing my screen and we'll go from there. We'll dive deep into the session for today.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope everyone can see my screen.
It's visible, ma'am. It's visible.
Sure. So let me just go to
Himanshu,
these.
ma'am, actually I have muted to every participants because of little bit disturbance again and again. So they will be responding through the chat.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll monitor chat as well. Thank you.
All the queries usually are entertained at the last 5 minutes, ma'am. Till the time the session can go ahead as it is. And from now, right after you take the session, we were going to mute the participants. Anywhere, any technical correction, anything you want to check upon, ma'am, and host will be available who can always be updating you, whether about your audio or video clarity, anything such.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'll just start sharing my screen and we'll dive into today's session. So as it's already mentioned, today's session would be focusing on visual analytics using Tableau. So my introduction is already covered very nicely by Dr. here. And, I'll just briefly introduce presently, I'm working as a partner development consultant with Intuit Canada, and I'm working over 5 years with the company. And I have over 17 years of experience in academia, and I'm also serving as a member of review board for Journal of Services Research, which is featured in ABSCO, ProQuest, and ABDC, which is like really high impact factor. So yeah, that's all about me, and we'll just go ahead and talk about today's learning objectives. So at the end of this session, what we try to achieve is you should be able to understand the meaning of information visualization. What are various tools available out there for data visualization? Sorry, I can't speak. And lastly, but most important, we'll also try to understand the application of Tableau public software while creating a visual story and creating a dashboard. And we'll do some hands-on exercise as well. So, I would like to ask one question before we actually dive into today's session. Has anyone have exposure to Tableau before, or you've used Tableau? Just give me a thumbs up. You can just add. Okay, Pankaj Singh. Yeah, awesome. All right, not many people have done that. That's fine. Okay, so sorry. Let's just talk about like why information visualization is important. You know, we have a culture of visual, including, you know, everything from art and advertisement to TV and movies. Whenever we are seeing something, we have better understanding and better understanding of data or the information which is thrown at us. And if we can see something, we internalize it quickly, right? That's why information visualization is very, very important. It's very difficult to make sense of massive spreadsheet of data, and you cannot see a trend or outlier, right? If you are exposed to a Excel sheet, you can make much sense of it. Whereas if the same information is provided you in a visual manner, you can easily understand the patterns and the relationships and the outliers which are there in the data, and you can make better sense of the data, and then you can make better informed decision, right? So there are various definitions which are given by different people and different scholars from time to time, describing visual analytics as it shows on the screen as well. It's a science of analytical reasoning facilitated by interactive visual interfaces. It's given by James. So what we can understand out of it, it's a science. So visual art or visual analytics, it's not just, it's art as well, but here the author has said it's a science because it facilitates interactive visual interfaces wherein we can understand the data more. We can, because the main objective for any information gathering is to decipher the information, use it for better decision making, right? So that's why it's a science which helps you in better analyzing the visual interface, right? And then there's other definition which says like using human comprehension of data with use of technology. So right now we have like we are in era of technology. We hear a lot about AI and whatnot. Like in North America, we talk a lot about AI, and we are using AI in our day-to-day life as well, right? Be it model building, be it like I worked with the text analyst team as well, right? So be it text analyst or whatever role you can think of, we are using AI in that, right? So how technology helps in data visualization is it focuses on clarity, integrity, and viewer engagement. So whenever we are listening to someone, we cannot relate with it, right? Whereas if we are viewing something, we have higher engagement, right? Like we watch a movie, we are fully engrossed in the movie, and we start visualizing everything, and we start behaving as if I'm part of that movie itself, right? So there's certainly a higher engagement which we can see with visualization. and it augment human capabilities for decision making as well, because if you can make better sense of data, you can make better decisions. It goes beyond the human perception and scales of large data set. So if we are given a large data set and we are thrown different numbers, it's very difficult to make sense of it, right? So before we actually dive deep into the visual analytics and Tableau session today, I would just like to go over Alice's conversation with Cheshire Cat. You might have seen this in a famous movie called Alice in Wonderland, right? So there's a book as well. So I have taken this conversation from the book. So the conversation goes like this. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to walk from here? So this is Alice asking question, right? So that depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you walk, said the cat. So the reason why I have this conversation here is, if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter which route you take, right? So that's why it's very, very important to know where you want to go. And that actually underscores the importance of having a clear goal, clear objective, right? Objectives, they help in defining goals, identifying conflicting activities, and guiding elements of decision making process, and ensure accountability of personnel within an organization, right? So that's why it's very, very important to know where exactly you want to go in order to decide which route you want to take, right? And when we talk about objectives, it's really important to understand like how we get to the right objective, or how we decide the right objective or right goal. So the thumb rule is asking a lot of questions. I'm sorry, like asking a lot of right questions, right? You can ask as many questions as you like, but if you're not asking the right questions, you'll not get the right answer, right? So it's very critical and important to ask right questions. And in order to do that, first of all, you need to understand who all are the stakeholders, right? So whenever you are doing any kind of data analysis project, you need to know who are the stakeholders. It could be your customers, it could be your manager, your owner, employees, your government, or the banks who's funding money for you, right? And there could be multiple stakeholders within one data project or data analytics project, right? So the first and foremost thing is to identify the stakeholders, and then asking a lot of right questions in order to understand what exactly they need out of the data, right? So identify the purpose to be achieved by the stakeholder, what purpose they're trying to achieve, that's most critical. Then you'll ask a series of logically connected questions about the project. And a few examples could be, what business problem you're facing? How is this problem affecting the business, right? What's the ideal outcome you expect from this project, wherein you have an understanding like what's the outcome stakeholders are looking at, so that you can design your analytical project accordingly, right? And then most important part is, remember to listen to stakeholders' answers to your question. That's one thing which would decide which way you want to go, or what would be the goal, or what would be the objective, right? So with that, we'll just talk a little bit about SMART objective. You might have seen that that acronym coming again and again. We'll just briefly touch upon what do we mean by SMART objective and how we can include that in any of the data analytics project, right? So SMART is an acronym which was introduced by George Doran in 1981 as a method for designing effective objectives, right? And this acronym stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound, right? So let's try to understand this with the help of example. So let's say if you are called in a meeting of stakeholders and they tell you like, increase number of returning visitors to website for increasing revenue, okay? So it's talking about one thing like increasing number of returning visitor, okay? So we know what exactly we want to do and how we want to achieve it. for increasing revenue, right? But still, the objective looks very, very vague, right? So if we are increasing number, what's the baseline? What's the bottom line? Where we are standing right now? Where we want to go, right? So it's very vague. So if we have objective defined like this, then we'll not be able to achieve good outcome from any data analytics projects, right? So that's why it's very, very important to have a specific objective which can be measured, its outcome can be measured, and it's also attainable, right? So we may want to have objective which is like very, very ambitious, right? But it's not attainable. So what's the use of having that, right? So we need to ensure it's attainable as well. It's relevant as well as time bound. So let's look at the second version of the same objective within 3 months. So we have time boundation here. So we know like by what time we need to achieve this. Analyze the archived click stream data to identify website changes that will increase revenue by 20% on month basis as compared to same month last year, right? So that's pretty a smart objective, because it's very specific what exactly we are looking for. We are identifying the archived click stream data, right? It's measurable as well, because we are measuring it with the increase in revenue growth by 20%, right? And it's very much relevant to the overall objective of the organization. And it's also giving you a time bound, right? And when it comes to attainable, we need to make sure how data ready the company is. Do we have data to support our objective, right? So do we maintain data which is based on like the click stream, right? So that's all about the SMART objective. Now we'll just dive into the data visualization part. So there are a lot of tools available out there for data visualization. We have Tableau, we have Watson Analytics, we have Plotly, we have Excel and Visio. We have ggplot, which is in R language. Then we have matplotlib library in Python. And then we have Profuse Toolkit, and then we have Gelfi, which is network-based analytics, right? So these are all the tools which are available to us for doing data visualization. Now, why Tableau? Like we have so many tools, so why we talk a lot about Tableau? Why we listen a lot about Tableau, right? Why Tableau is very famous, or very mostly used, you can say, right? So the most important thing is like it's a very powerful visualization tool which can handle big data, right? And it can handle data in real time. So we have plethora of data. We do like data collection in, like if you look at the reels which are uploaded on all the social platform, or if you are collecting information about the banks who are visiting the website. So we have like big data, and we really need a comprehensive tool which can handle such large data set, right? So Tableau fulfills that requirement. So it's a very powerful visualization tool. It uses best practices. Just a sec. So it uses best practices in visualization. It's also the world leader in the area of visualization. That's why we hear a lot about Tableau, not other tools, right? Plus, you don't need to know the programming in order to use the Tableau. In order to use Tableau for data visualization, right? Like in R, you need to know the R language in order to use the various libraries, right? So it's easy to use as well. It connects to most kind of databases, like you can connect it to Excel, you can CSV file. So it can connect it to most commonly used databases. It can handle big data very well, as I already mentioned. It's easy to make interact dashboard. I already mentioned that, like you don't require any programming skills or IT skills in order to use Tableau. Anyone can learn Tableau. It's very interactive and very user friendly. And it saves analysts a lot of time. Your questions can be answered very, very quickly, right? So let's just dive. Okay. I'm sorry, my screen is not going. Okay, so let's just dive into Tableau version. So there are two versions available: Tableau Public, which is a free version, and then Tableau Desktop. Again, you have a personal version and then a professional version of Tableau Dashboard. So you get to save data on the website, not the dashboard, if you are using the Tableau Public. Today's session, we would be using Tableau Desktop personal version, which is a desktop version, but it's free. Anyone can download that, and you can save your data on the cloud as well. So I had circulated like Tableau software public download instructions. I'm not sure if you have already downloaded it or not. Can you just give me a heads up by saying a thumbs up, or if you have already downloaded that? Or if you want me to walk you through it, I can do that as well. Not yet, not yet. Okay. So I think few people have downloaded it and few haven't. Okay. So, there's a link in the material which I circulated earlier. So all you need to do is just copy the link here. I'll just walk you through quickly, and you can open any web browser. Right? So this will take you to Tableau Public. You can sign up. I have already signed up, so I'll just use the sign in, right? So once you sign up, you will be able to download the desktop version, right? So it's already there in my downloads, right? So the file would look something like this, right? And once you install that, you'll be able to open Tableau from your computer. So now I have Tableau installed here, and I can go to Tableau, right? So this is the Tableau dashboard which I prepared. All right. So do you need some time to download that, or did you want me to go ahead and in the meantime, you can continue to download and, install Tableau desktop version? How would you like to proceed? Not visible? Okay. So what is not visible? Ajay is asking question, not visible. So are you not able to see the sign up page or the download? Okay, PPT is visible. All right, so we can just go ahead. Sign up page is not visible. Okay, so what you can do is you can just you should have a copy of this presentation. So you just need to copy this URL and open any web browser, type in there, and you'll see the sign up page. And the instructions are pretty straightforward. All you need to do is just enter your email address and click the download button, right? And then you'll see .exe file in your downloads folder, and then you can install it from there, right? And then you can launch Tableau. So now I'll briefly introduce the data set which we are going to use for today's hands-on session. So the data set which I have chosen, it's freely available from data.world, and there's a URL here which is for bird strike between 2000 to 2011. It's pretty old data set, but the reason I used it is it's very straightforward, and it's easy to learn uh, using this data set, right? So I also provided this data set along with the presentation, so you should be able to access that data set if you don't have access to that, you can just copy this URL and paste it in any web browser, and you should be able to download the data set from there, right? And this data set is a bird strike data set, and a bird strike is strictly defined as a collision between a bird and an aircraft which is in flight or on a takeoff or landing roll. It has total 26 variables like record ID, aircraft type, airport name, effect, impact on flight, flight date, number of people, etc. Right? So let's just open this data set and explore that. So this is the Excel sheet of data which we have for bird strikes in US. Okay. And we have all the variables listed here. These are all the variables, like 26 variables which are available. Now, we don't want to waste much of time in exploring this data. We'll go directly to the Tableau and import our data in there. Okay. So, all right, so now we understood our data set. Now we need to identify some research questions from the data set, right? So it's a process which you need to do by understanding who are the stakeholders, what exactly they need, and how to visualize, right? So just to keep things straight, I have already formulated 4 questions or research questions which we would be addressing in today's session. Just for simplicity's sake, you can add as many more research questions as you like, and then you can create your own visualization using the data set, right? So today we would be addressing these 4 questions. The first one is, when strikes occur, from where do they mostly originate, right? So basically we are interested in looking at the strikes and the origin, right? So which state the strike is originating from. Okay. And the next question we would be addressing is how many strikes occur in individual states and how much do they cost, right? So we want to have a look at the strikes data and its cost for each of the states, right? And then what is the trend of strikes in past 10 years? And then what is the impact of strike to the flight? So we'll discuss about these research questions in detail when we actually address those, right? So let's go to the first question, right? So I have already created a visualization and I have incorporated that in my presentation, but we'll just go through it together. So whosoever has access to Tableau can open their Tableau. Who do not have access, they can try downloading Tableau, and then they should be able to open Tableau, right? Just give me a thumbs up or post in the comment if you are able to launch your Tableau. I just wait for a few seconds. Okay, so looks like you can't see my screen. You can see my Excel sheet. That's what you said? Okay, so that's okay. If you cannot see Excel sheet, that's fine. You have access to that Excel. You can open it on your own laptop, and then you can just, load it to Tableau, and then we'll have a better visibility there, right? So I'll launch Tableau, and then I would ask if you can see my Tableau screen. Can you see my Tableau screen or not? No, okay. So let me just share this screen. All right, so I shared all the screens. I think now you can see my Excel sheet. You see it? No? Yes, okay, perfect. And then I'll just go to the, you see my Tableau screen? Okay, perfect, perfect. So now if you can launch your Tableau. So at the bottom, you'll see different tabs. Okay, so there's a data source tab. So you can just go to file, open, and you can select the file which you want to open. So you know what, let me just close the Tableau and then all right. So I would say just click on file, go to open, and then it should show the data set, your Excel sheet, wherever you have saved it. You just need to select that and open. That's it, right? Once you open that, you'll see data source loaded. So you'll see 26 fields, 25,558 rows, right? So that's all the data we have. So we have 26 variables and then we have these many rows, okay? You see that? Yes, okay. All right. So now we have various worksheets. So you should see blank worksheets. So you can just create a blank worksheet. You click on the worksheet and you'll see a blank worksheet there. Right? Now, what you need to do is we first need to look at our first question and identify what variables we want to create this visualization for, right? So let me just pick a blank worksheet so that I can show what exactly we mean. First thing we need to do is we need to name the worksheet, and that can be done by double clicking here, and you can just name it whatever you like. So I have named it as prevalence of strikes by state, or you can just say strikes by states. Okay, and then you'll see that name showing here, strikes by state. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to understand what two variables we are interested in looking at. So one is the states. So we certainly need the states, right? So we look at the variables. All the variables are showing here on the left panel. So we scroll down to see if we can find these states here. So we see bird strikes, we would need that for sure, but we are looking for the states first. So origin state, okay? So what we need to do is we just need to select this and drag it to rows column. Sorry. Okay. Now we see all the states showing here, but we don't want to see states like that because it doesn't make much sense, right? So what we'll do is we'll just there's something called show me here on the top right. Just click on that and it will give you all the visualization options. Whenever we are looking at states or, it's better to have a visualization which is map. So we see two visualization which are map specific. So we have this visualization and this visualization. I like this one better. So let's select this visualization. Now we have all the states. So if you hover over the states, you'll see the names of states as well, right? But that doesn't make much sense because what we are interested in knowing is states, how many strikes are happening in each state, okay? So the second variable which we are interested in looking at is the bird strikes. So you can just take bird strike and drag it to details column. Okay. Now, if I see here, I see the state name and I also see the count of bird strike. Okay. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. All right. So now we hover over the states. We can see the origin state and the count of bird strikes. But still, if we show it to someone, it's still not giving us clear picture, right? So how about the numbers show on the face of state? So let's do one thing. Let's do take bird strike and add it to label, right? So now I see a better visualization. I see the count of bird strikes are showing on face of the the states, right? You see that? Just message yes, no, questions. Okay. All right. So now we see that. So I want to make it look a bit better because I don't like it because I cannot understand unless I hover over and go into the details to see like how many strikes are there. So how about we have some visualization where we have different colors which highlights like the strikes, right? So you just need to click on the color mark and then just a sec. We want to edit the colors. Okay, so sorry, my screen is right. Just a sec. Okay, so we need to make sure it's on the color, and then we should see this edit color. You can edit the color. It will show you the color. You can pick whichever color you like. There are different range of colors. You can pick green, red, purple. So let's do purple. And then you see the option for stepped color. So stepped color means like if the bird strike count is less, it would show this color, like lighter shade. As the bird count increases, it would show a darker shade. So you can do stepped color. So you can choose whichever number of steps you like. So you can do 4, 5, 3. So let's say we do 5 step colors and say apply. Okay, so the moment we apply, we see this kind of visualization, right? So we see the darker color would mean there's a higher bird strikes count. Okay, lighter the color, less the bird strike count. Okay, so that's quite visible here. So I think we lost the label. So let's just drag this to label as well. Word count. Let's drag it to label. So now we see the label as well. So we see the actual number and we see the color coding as well, right? Now what we need to do is we go to label. We can do show mark label or we can hide the labels, right? So we can decide if we want to show the labels here or not, right? What next we can do is we can adjust the size of label. So you can play around with it, you can do like multiple things with these marks, right? So you can play around with the color, with the size. Let's just go and change the background, reduce the background layers. Right now it's too noisy and I see background layer. So you can adjust this washout. Okay, so if you want to wash out rest of the states, you can select, like drag it to 100. If you want other states also to show, you can drag it, or if you want in between, you can do that, right? All right, so okay, what else we can do is we can just add the title to the sheet, right? So you just double click here, it shows the title. So you can type actually the research question here, right? So that it shows on the face of the sheet. So let's type when strikes occur from where do they originate? Okay. And then you can adjust the size. You can do this bold. You can select this, say bold. You can adjust its alignment if you want it to be centrally aligned or left aligned or right aligned, whichever way you prefer. And then say apply. And this will show at the face of your sheet. Okay. So this is the first question, research question we had. We created a visualization of that. And now we can make a sense, like if Nevada has 100, California has the maximum count of bird strike, which is 2520. And then next one is Texas, which is 2453. And then Florida, 2055. So lighter the color, less the bird count strikes. Okay, so now we can make some sense out of it. We can relate it to states, and we can understand like which states have more bird strikes, right? So that's kind of we addressed our first visualization question. Now, in the interest of time, we can do like a lot more things with it, like changing the colors of the label and, reducing this this black outline. We can do like as many things as we like, but in the interest of time, we'll just move on to the second research question, which is how many strikes occur in individual states and how much do they cost, right? So now we are interested in three things. So we have number of strikes in states and the cost, right? So let's create a, so you can just hide this by clicking on show me again. Let's create another worksheet, bring it here and name it as we are interested in strikes in individual states and the cost. Okay, so now we have three variables here. So first thing we are interested is the origin, state origin. Okay, so let's do state origin and drag it to row. And then we need bird count. We want a different visualization. We don't want a map style. So let's do bird count and drag it to column. When you share screen, your screen response is really slow. Okay. So, all right. So we have a bar chart kind of thing, right? But we still can't make much sense out of it. We are still missing one more variable, which is the cost. Okay, so let's look at the total cost. So we already have row and column added. So how about we use color for coding the third variable here. So let's select cost and bring it to color. Okay. Now we can see the color here. It shows, if you look at the screen here, lighter color shows less cost, a darker color shows higher cost, right? So what you can do here is you can change the color, right? So you just go here, edit color, select whichever color you like. Let's say you want the color to be orange, and you can do stepped. Stepped would have a break after each color, right? Whereas if you don't select stepped, it would show a continuous range wherein color would be showing from lighter shade to darker shade. So say apply and okay. So I have kind of color coded. So we have three variables here. We have all the states, we have bird strike, and we have the color coding for the cost, right? If you hover over the state, you'll see the count of bird strikes and the total cost, right? So what I want to do is, since it's a bar diagram, I want to arrange it in a specific order, either, you know, ascending order or descending order so that I can make more sense of the data, right? So if you hover over here, you'll see the small little icon. This allows you to arrange your data in ascending or descending order, right? So this is from highest to lowest. You can scroll down and see, all right? Or you can do reverse order, so lowest to highest, depending upon what your research question is and what people are interested in knowing. If they are interested in knowing the states with least cost, then this is the visualization you want to use. If the stakeholders wants to focus on the states which have the highest cost, then this is the visualization you want to use, right? And if they want to have visualization which is origin state goes by the alphabetic order, this is the visualization you want to use. So this is going by alphabetic order, right? So you can do like a visualization whichever you prefer. Right now, let's just keep it like this, like descending order. So we know like California has maximum bird strikes and the maximum cost as well. Likely Texas has high bird strikes, but the cost is less. Okay. If you compare cost, here it's 22 million, here it's 16 million, sorry, 3 million, and here it's 16 million. That's why this color is little darker, right? So now we have color coded the cost and we can understand which province has highest cost. So if you see here, like Alabama, you have less bird strikes, but the cost is high. That's why the color is really darker here, okay? Are you all following along? Okay, so one question is which variable we put in column and which in, so let's switch the order, okay? So let's try origin state up and let's try bird strike here. So this is the visualization we get, right? So there's no right and wrong. You can pick whichever variable you want to put where, okay? You just need to make sure like it's making sense. Whatever visualization we are creating, it's making sense, okay? So I like this way better because then I have something which is like longer. So I have my dashboard in mind. So I'm also thinking like if I have this kind of visualization, it would be easier for me to squeeze it like vertically and, you know, fit into my dashboard. So depending upon which way you prefer, you can decide how you want to go with the variables like rows, columns, right? And then you can use the color as well as a third dimension. Okay, so is this clear? Can we move on to the third question? Okay, perfect. So our third question, let me just have a look. What is the trend of strikes in past 10 years? So let's create a new worksheet. Just bring it here. Trend, you can just name it. You can create the title. What is the trend of strikes in past 10 years? Okay, and then you can bold it, center it, and apply. Okay, let me check. All right, so I think we are good. No more questions. All right, so now we have our third question. What is the trend of strikes in past 10 years? Okay, now what we are interested in knowing is the trend, like have the strikes increased over past 10 years? So we have created new worksheet. Now we need to have our flight date, because we look at the variable and we see like which is the variable which closely aligns with the trend. So when we talk about trend, we are interested in the timeline, right? So timely data. So see all the variables which has time in it. So flight date, right? So that's most aligned to the time. Okay, so let's select flight date. Again, you can choose rows or column depending upon which kind of visualization you want, right? All right, so and then we have, or we can use this. So I like whenever it's a trend line, I would prefer to have years showing on x-axis, right? You can do whichever way you like, but when we talk about trend line, it's better to have this kind of visualization. So we have a trend showing on the columns, and then the second variable we need is the count of bird strike. Okay, so let's select bird strike and then drag it to row. Okay, that gives us a good trend line. So now we can see the trend here, right? So it shows a trend line. It's annual. So what we can do with this is, so this has, so Tableau is smart enough to create a visualization on its own, but you can always customize it if you want it to do in a different manner, right? So you just go show me, select your visualization from here, and then it would apply. Right now, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it with it. Okay. Now, you can select years in flight. So what we can do here is, now we have year. Once we click on that small little drop down, it will show us the option which time we want to take, like whether we want to do a trend line on yearly basis or quarter or month or week or days. Okay, so let's try quarter. So that gives this trend line. You can also try doing a on daily. So that would be like, because we have 10 years data on daily basis, so the graph would look something like this. Okay, so we can try month and see if it gives us a better picture. Which one you prefer, month, year, day? Which one is your best visualization? Just message. Year. All right, so let's keep it year. So select and do year. All right, so this is a trend. We can clearly see it shows increasing trend, right? But now, to check if the trend is significant or not, what we can do is we just right click and we say add trend line. Okay, so we are doing regression here to add a trend line. Okay, so now we can see the trend line also shows here. And if you hover over the trend line, it gives you the p value and r square value. I think r square and p value would have been covered in earlier sessions, so I'll just not waste time on that. I'll quickly mention p value is much less than 5%. So there is a significant increase in the strikes in past 10 years. That's what we can decipher out of this trend line and the p value and r square value. Okay, make sense? Or you have any questions? Makes sense. All right, so no. Okay, so what is it that you want me to highlight here? Someone said no, ma'am. So what is not making sense? This trend line is not making sense, or the p value is not making sense? Because if I start explaining p value, it would take another like 20 minutes. I really don't want to go that route. So no question. All right. Awesome. So now I presume you understand what's the significance of p value and r square value. So we have added a trend line here, and we can create this trend line would adjust depending upon whichever visualization you do, right? So this trend line is adjusting here, right? R square value is changing depending upon how you are selecting your visualization. So if you see here, R square value is 0.26, right? But the p value is still significant. So you can say like there's increasing trend. That's what we can decipher from this. Now, let's go to our fourth and last question. I know we are running out of time. I'll just take 10 more minutes to quickly walk you through the fourth question, and then we'll do briefly the visualization on dashboard. Okay. So the fourth question is, what is the impact of strikes to the flights? All right, so let's create another worksheet. So I already had my own worksheet, so it's pretty messy. Okay, let's keep it here. So this is what is the impact of strikes to flights. All right, it shows here, so I'm not gonna change the headline now, just for in interest of time. So what we are interested in knowing here is we are looking for the impact of strikes to the flight. Okay, so let's select the flight date because we would certainly need that. Flight date, where was it? Okay, so let's do flight date. You can again select your visualization whichever way you like this or like this. Oh, it disappeared. All right, so let's do flight date here on the columns. All right, and the next variable we are interested in knowing is the bird strike count. So let's drag the bird strike count and drag it here. All right, so now we have similar visualization which we did for the trend line, but that was not the question. The question was we are interested in knowing the impact of strike. Okay, so let's see if we have that variable impact. So I see effect, impact to flight. Okay, now whenever you have 3 dimensions, it's always a good practice to choose your column rows first and then add the third dimension to color. That will give you a more clear picture of what exactly we are looking for. So we can see these are the bird strikes, and this is the impact which has actually happened, right? So here it gives us like orange is aborted takeoff, engine shutdown, green is none, other, and the precautionary landing, right? If you hover over the lines here, you can actually see in 2009 there were 125 precautionary landing, and we can see the actual bird count strike, right? So bird count out of 3,000, let's say, there were only 125 precautionary landing. Okay, that's what we can decipher from here. All right, again, you can change the color, you can change the label, you can add label if you want to see the impact. Let's see what happens if we add label. So if we add label, it shows us the engine shutdown. It adds label to each of the things which is happening here, right? So which we see here, it is adding label. So if you like that, you can add label and you can just play around with it. If we are on time, so I'll just ask if you are clear on these 4. Can we have it in more clear way? Okay, so let's try, because there's a huge difference between the bird strike count and this. So let's try impact. Oh, this is not making sense. So this is also not making sense. Okay, so since we have variables in such manner, so we need to see what makes more sense. So let's try. Okay. Let's see if we can add a dimension or measure as count. All right, so it looks upside down, but yeah. Do this or do this. Okay, now this makes more sense. Okay. So, you know, you can just play around with it a little bit, and that will give you more insight. So you can choose whichever visualization you want, or you can do a bubble chart as well, right? So that tells you the impact. Okay. You can do different color coding, like from light to dark, dark to light. But here, since we have different variables, it's better to have like different, I would say we can do a stacked bar diagram, because then it gives us more clear picture of. So this is a count of effect, right? So yeah, so this way you can decide like which visualization makes more sense to you. More you play around with it, more you will learn how to create your visualization. Perfect. So now we are all are aligned. So let me just quickly show how to create a dashboard, right? So I had already created a dashboard. Let's just hide this first. So I had created a dashboard. Where did it go? Okay, so that's the dashboard I created. If you want to create a brand new dashboard, what you can do is these small little icons, when you hover over it, it will show whether it's creating a worksheet or a dashboard. So this is a new dashboard. So you can create a new dashboard. Okay, so this is how the dashboard would look like. The first thing you want to do when you create a dashboard is you can just name your dashboard. Let's say bird strike. Bird strike dashboard. Okay, choose default, and size I prefer to have automatic, because if you have it automatic, it will automatically fit to the size of your computer or laptop, or whatever sheet you are using. It will resize to fit any screen it's displayed on. If you're using a larger screen, it will fit to that screen as well. So it's better to have it on automatic, because Tableau is intelligent enough to adjust it based on the screen size you're using. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to bring all our sheets onto this dashboard, so that we have all the questions answered in one place, right? So now we just go dashboard. Now we see all the sheets showing here. Okay. Now we see two options, tiled and floating. So I prefer floating, because you can adjust the size of the worksheets which we have used. If we use tiled, it's kind of pretty much rigid. So you can again play around and see what fits best in your situation. So let's do floating for now, and then let's select strike and total cost here. Okay. Now I can resize it. I can drag it. If I want it to be in center, I can leave it here. If I want it to be on side, I'll just move here. And when I move at the center, I see this icon, which will allow me to drag the whole sheet. So you can drag it wherever you like. Okay. So let's keep it at center for now, because it's a long one. So maybe we can fit the other ones. This one, again, you can drag, put it at the top, side, or inside this, depending upon whatever way makes more sense for you. Okay. So let's just keep it here. Now let's go to the other sheet. Let's select the trend and bring it here. Okay. So now this is the trend of strikes in past 10 years. Again, we can adjust the size, we can move the sheets. Okay. And the next we have is prevalence. So let's bring that map here. So it shows the prevalence. All right. Now we have one more sheet, which is strikes and total cost. Okay. And then, so this one is already, there's a duplication of the sheets, which because I created one earlier and now I created a second one to show you how it looks. Trend of bird strike. This one we have already selected, this one we have selected, this one we have selected. So there's one sheet which is missing. Okay, impact of strike. So we can bring impact of strike. If you don't like this visualization, you can just cancel this one. And okay, so let's bring this one here, impact of strike to flights. Okay, so now we have all 4 sheets. Again, we can resize them, we can adjust the dimensions, we can arrange the way we want depending upon which is most important objective for us. Let's say we are the topmost important topmost objective is to look at the cost, right? So then we would highlight this worksheet more than the other. So let's say if your topmost objective is to look at the trend, how the trend is moving, so you want to highlight this one, right? Again, when you double click on this side, let's say show dashboard title, you can just double click and you can edit the title of the dashboard. You can name whatever you like. Dashboard to show the impact of bird strikes on states. Again, you can, customize it, do whatever you like, apply. Okay. All right. So now we have a title to our dashboard, and then we have 4 visualization, which we have added here. So next thing which I wanted to show is you can publish this dashboard as well. So you just need to go file, save to Tableau public. So it will save this dashboard to your public profile. So once you click on that, you just need to sign into your Tableau, which you would have created when you downloaded the the Tableau, and that will connect you to the server, and you can upload this dashboard uh, onto the website. Okay, so this dashboard already shows here. So that's how the dashboard would look like. You can save it for later. If you want to check back, let's say 10 years down the line, you can still log into your account and see here and check the visualization. All right. So that's all from there's a question here. Okay, so we are over time. You have more minutes? Or did you want me to wrap up? More you play around with this, more you learn about it, right? And depending upon your requirement, your need, you can actually create whichever visualization and dashboards. I would say just download the data file which I have shared. The session is recorded, so you'll be able to see how we have created these visualizations, and you can just update your the dashboard into your public profile. We will get Indian map. So no, the data is specifically for US. So in Tableau, depending upon which states you are working on, the map would automatically adjust. So if you have data which shows Indian states, and when you select the map here, it will automatically show all the Indian states, right? So right now I have data set which is specifically for US. So that's why it's showing a US map. Okay. Any other questions which I can? Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys liked it. I know it's really less time, and I tried to do my best in the limited time. But yeah, more you like, it's not rocket science. More you play around with it, more you learn, and it's pretty straightforward, and it gives you like really good visualization, and maybe you can use it for your sessions in the classroom if you're taking sessions, or if you're working in corporate environment. You can create your research questions, and use the data to create some visualization, because this Tableau is free, right? So anyone can access it from everywhere, anywhere, right? So you can create your visualization and use it for whatever purpose you like. All right. So okay, so we are 16 minutes over, so I'm just gonna wrap up now. If you have any final questions. Thank you for listening to me patiently. Like, I know it's pretty late for you guys. It's morning for me, so I'm pretty fresh.
So Rajna ma'am, please. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. You are muted. Please mute yourself.
Oh, now it is muted. I'm trying, sir. Himanshu ma'am, it was a really wonderful session. More than what we say, you can see that chat box is flooded with lot of
Oh,
compliments.
thank you so much. I'm glad you guys liked it. I was
Yes,
thinking like you guys
we-
would get bored, because I would be doing a lot of talking, and
No, it was a
I don't know
very
how, if you can
interesting
follow
session.
along, because it was pretty quick. So I'm
yes,
glad you
ma'am.
liked it.
Though it is 1 hour session, even if it is exceeding that time, but still I could see that there are no participants who are leaving, and just everybody was still a part enjoying the session. It is only because the way you have taken the session and the way you have actually engaged them, ma'am. Really, it's a wonderful session, ma'am, and it was a lot colorful session today. We had to learn.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for
I
such.
know research can
Uh,
get boring at times.
Oh, ma'am, I think there was I think
Himanshu ma'am,
muted.
some
Otherwise,
participants are writing.
yes, ma'am.
Sir, kindly arrange one more session of ma'am. It was very nice listening to her class.
Oh
So,
wow, thank you so much.
So, okay, certainly I will try. If Sunday I will get the time, and if time will permit, then certainly I will try to arrange one more session.
thank you, ma'am,
Sure.
Himanshu, ma'am, for such a
My
wonderful
pleasure.
session. And once again, on behalf of School of Economics and Commerce, CMR University, on behalf of all the participants of FDP, we really want to extend our thank you to you for accepting our invitation and being part of the session and sharing your knowledge to all our participants, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Thank
Himanshu.
you. I'm glad.
And
Yeah,
I
I'm glad to
request
be
all,
here.
yes, ma'am. Participants, I request you all to stay back for a few more minutes. I have one more announcement to make for you all.
Okay, I'm good to go now.